Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Gen 3 AlteRed Monotype series. Last time we found out how well the Dark type did against this game. If you want to find out, you'll have to watch the last video. Today is the turn of Dark's counterpart. Can you beat Pokemon AlteRed using only Psychic types? The rules are the same as always, and are on screen now. I've always liked Psychic types. They're usually associated with having high speed and special attack, but to balance that they have low defenses and physical attack. While I'm sure that some of my team members will follow this trend, I'm going to try and get as much diversity in this team as possible. As I said in the last video, this and the fighting type video are likely to be the last videos I make on AlteRed. I absolutely love this game, but I will have done about 13 videos on it by then, which to be honest is quite a lot. Have no fear though, as the creator of this game is working on a sequel, which looks amazing. I'll definitely be making some videos on that when it releases, and not just monotype runs either. Before we get started, shout out goes to these people for finding the dabbing Delibird. He's hiding away in this one too, so comment down below with the timestamp if you see him, for a chance to be featured next time. Well then, let's see how well the Psychic type fares. I start the game picking the female character, calling her Celestia. As always, comment down below if you get the reference. I name our rival Zwigo, because he just won't stop asking me to be in one of my videos. If you've seen any of these monotype runs before, you'll know that the first Pokemon I catch is the starter Psychic. This is a regional form of Torchic, which is pure Psychic, and seems to have more of a focus on defense. I face off against Brock, but before doing that I evolve Psychic into a Philoskin, no idea, and then take on Brock. As always though, this was an incredibly easy fight. We literally one-shot his first 3 Pokemon, and only his final Pokemon Ice-Kun survives a confusion, but his Rock Tombs are hardly doing anything, and even after him healing up a couple of times, we just take it out easily. Once again, another easy first gym fight. Before doing anything else, I catch a new team member, that being Solnova. In the comments a lot of you have said that this thing is based off of something from Kirby. I've actually never played a Kirby game before, so I didn't get the reference, but I hope this makes you happy. And now it's time for a new segment I'd like to call Lord Helix's Words of Wisdom. Tomorrow is another word for Loser Town. I also catch one more Pokemon here, that being a Friggy. Now, I know what you're thinking.
But Friggy isn't a Psychic type.
Well, you'd be correct. But I'm going to hold on to it for now. You'll see why soon enough. I take on Zwigo before facing Misty, and as always this was a really easy fight. His Eggon is hardly doing any damage to us, so a couple of confusions take it out no problem. And next up is Burnosaur, who takes massive damage from a Psybeam, only to go for Harden instead of attacking. One more takes that thing out, and Prakuna goes down in a single confusion as well. His final Pokemon Stalagmite also just goes down in 2 confusions, so yeah, easy win. Misty, to be honest, wasn't really that much more difficult either. Her first Pokemon Fomal has Drizzle, so it always sets up the rain. My Solnova happens to have Sunny Day, so I get rid of the rain entirely, which makes her water moves really weak. I can then just take it out with a single Psych Pulse, and I switch into Philoskin for Goltide, who also goes down in one hit to Psybeam. I switch Solnova back in for Tartler, and this is weak to Psychic, so Confusion does huge damage, as she actually just misses a takedown. She then does heal up, but 2 more confusions take it out no problem, and we're down to her final Pokemon Syrinx. Not only does she get a critical hit Water Pulse, but she also gets the confusion, but we're able to still hit and do some decent damage, but then she actually sets up the rain once again. This does massively boost the power of Water Pulse, and we hit ourselves in confusion as well. We are able to just hang on though, and get one more confusion in before we go down. So now we just send in Philoskin once again, who can easily tank a Water Pulse and just take it out with a Psybeam, winning us badge number 2. Before doing anything else, I evolve Friggy. The reason I do this is because there's an in-game trade here, and the Pokemon you get in return for this Frigioto is a Torchill. It's nicknamed Fendrana, and this is an Ice Psychic type. It's got great defenses and good special attack too, so I'm looking forward to using this thing. I then take on the 3rd gym leader, Lieutenant Surge, but to be honest this guy hasn't caused me trouble since about the grass type run. Elix is up first and goes for a Thunderfang for small damage, as I then just one-hit KO it with a Psybeam. Next up is Linode, so I switch in Solnova, and I lower its special attack with a Flash Cannon, as we get paralysed. His Sparks are hardly doing anything though, so 2 confusions finish it off, and Blitzus is up next. I switch in Philoskin once again and take a Thunder Punch like it's nothing, and bring it down below half with the Psybeam. He then just goes for focus energy, so we take it out with another one, and switch into Phendrana for Moroth. This thing is weak to ice, so it's the perfect matchup, and as you can see, we take a Volt Tackle like it's nothing, and one hit KO with an Aurora Beam. His final Pokemon is Fearolt, who's also weak to ice, so after tanking a Drill Peck easily, again we one hit KO with an Aurora Beam, winning us badge number 3 and another easy victory. Before moving on, it's time to expand our team. I catch myself a Psychodactyl, which is a psychic flying type version of Aerodactyl, and this is one of my favourite designs so far. It's got a great physical attack stat, which as I said earlier is quite rare for a psychic type, and it's fast as well. I'm really looking forward to using this on the team. We're not done yet though, I also catch myself a Zenchop, which is pure psychic at the moment, but once it evolves it becomes part fighting, and again it's also quite physically oriented. This too should be a really good member of the team. I take on the 4th gym leader Erika, but I won't lie to you, this fight was incredibly one-sided. I literally one-hit KO every single one of her Pokemon with Psychodactyl. They all just go down to 1 fly each. Honestly, this was the easiest gym fight of the entire run. We also evolve Zenchop into Zenchoke, and as always we take on Zwigo and Giovanni with ease. I even evolve Philoskin into Blaziken? Is it literally just the same? Okay. This is a really good design, it's like a magician or an alchemist or something, and its moveset reflects that, as it tries to learn a lot of elemental moves, such as Shockwave and Energy Ball. We're not done yet with the team changes though. I also catch my 6th and final member, Houndoom. This is a water and psychic type version of Houndour, and it has a focus on special attack and speed, so I'm looking forward to using this as well. I evolve into Houndoonami, and take on the 5th gym leader Koga, but we didn't really have that much of a problem here, as we are super effective against poison. As always, Mediclops and Noxiora are up first, so I lead off with Houndoonami and Psychodactyl. Noxiora hits first and goes for an Air Cutter to hit both Pokemon, but it doesn't do too much to either, and I go for a Psychonash on the Mediclops for huge damage, and then a Psychic on Noxiora. Mediclops does unfortunately take us out there with a knockoff, so I switch in Blaziken. Not only does he fully heal with a Hyper Potion, but he actually switches out Noxiora, and this was a really smart play as he goes into Nefario, which is a Dark type, so it's immune to my Psychic types. Thankfully though I went for a Psychic on the Mediclops, which brings it down to red health, and next turn we managed to just about survive a Night Slash, as I go for a Fly. I then take out the Mediclops with one more Psychic, and Taintuck is up next. It goes for the Shadow Sneak but misses as he went for Psychodactyl, but then we do go down to another Night Slash from Nefario, so I switch in Phendrana. Fly hits Nefario for about 50% of its health, as we finally do get hit by the Shadow Sneak, which actually does a lot more than I was expecting, as then Nefario goes for another Night Slash, which we just hang on from as well. Phendrana is able to hit a super effective Psychic on the Taintuck, as I go for one more Fly, but not before Nefario takes out Phendrana with a Poison Jab. I switch in Solnova, who's actually immune to poison, as we take out the Nefario with the Fly. His Noxiora comes back out now, but just goes down to a single Psychonash, and Plagueon is up next. We're able to finish off the Taintuck with a Psychic from Solnova, so now we're down to his final new Pokemon, Glimpale. One Psychonash actually just takes out Plagueon from full health, so it's now just a 2-on-1 situation, as Glimpale finally takes out Psychodactyl with a Needle Arm, so I send in Zenchoke. Solnova hits another Psychic though for well over half, so we've basically got this in the bag, as we tank an X-Scissor with ease, and take it out with one more Psychic, winning us Gym Badge number 5. Now we can take on the Silph Co building and go against Zwigo once again, but as always, Zwigo is never a challenge. Scariados is up first, so I lead off with Zenchoke, and a single Low Kick brings it down to red health, as his Nightshade really doesn't do too much. Obviously we're able to take a second one, and finish off with the Seismic Toss, and next up is Telements. I switch in Phendrana, who's got some good bulk, and also has the super effective Aurora Beam, but of course he goes for Protect. We are able to hit the next one though as he just fails to Protect, and it's going to be an easy 2-hit KO, as he just goes for a weak Headbutt, as we take it out with one more. Next up is Chernobyl, so I switch into Houndoonami, and a single Surf is all we need to take that thing out from full health, and I switch in Solnova for his next Pokemon, Stalacton, as we have the super effective Flash Cannon which almost takes it out from full health as well, as he just goes for the weak Sonic Boom. One more takes that thing out as well, and last up is his fully evolved starter, Volcasaur, so again I switch into Houndoonami, and one Surf brings it easily down to KO range, as he goes for Iron Defense. It's like he doesn't want to attack me. This means that one more Surf takes it out, and we beat Zwigo once again. As always, Giovanni was easy, I'm not even going to cover this fight, and move on to the 6th gym leader, Sabrina. This really is the battle of the psychic types, but I was able to come out on top. First up is Cloyster, so I lead off with Houndoomami, and we get a lucky critical hit Dark Pulse, which is an easy one-shot. Next up is Zenchamp, so I switch in Psychodactyl, and thanks to Drill Peck being super effective, we get another one-hit KO. Sparkori's up next, so I switch into Zenchoke, and go for a Strength as he goes for Future Sight, which does about half. She then decides to go for another Future Sight for some reason, so we can bring it down to red health with another Strength, as she fully heals with a Hyper Potion. We're able to hit one more, but then we get hit by the Future Sight and it actually does huge damage, and then we go down to a Thunderbolt. Once again I switch in Psychodactyl, and I was hoping Psychonash would be enough to take it out, but he just hangs on, and takes us out with another Thunderbolt. I switch in Houndoomami though and go for the Dark Pulse, but again she fully heals with a Hyper Potion, but we get another critical hit. This takes it out from full health once again, and next up is Solnova. I stay in and go for the Surf, which does decent damage I guess, but then she sets up a light screen, so we're really not doing much damage. But I persevere, and actually much to my surprise, we are just able to take it out. And next up is Houndoomami, so I switch into Blaziken and go for the super effective Energy Ball, as she sets up a Calm Mind. Because of this, our Energy Ball really isn't doing that much, but we do actually get the special defense drop, which means that after surviving a boosted Surf, we're just able to take it out with one more Energy Ball. Her final Pokemon is Doris, so I just stay in and go for the Water Pulse, as she sets up another Calm Mind. It really doesn't do as much as I was hoping, but we do get the Confusion, which means she wastes a turn going for full heal, and we can hit one more Water Pulse, before going down to a Flamethrower the next turn. I switch Houndoomami back in, and we're thankfully able to outspeed, and finish off with one more Surf for the win. That's 6 badges down already. Before facing the 7th gym though, I evolve Zenchoke into Zenchamp, and we now have a fully evolved team. I then take on the 7th gym leader Blaine, but to be honest this wasn't actually too bad of a fight, as I employ an old strategy, and get rid of his permanent sun with a Rain Dance. He does go for 2 double teams, but we're still able to hit a boosted Surf, which easily takes it out, that crit was not necessary, and his next 2 Pokemon, Samurott and Sotillery, both go down in a single Surf as well. Necrotomic is up next though, and survives the Surf on the tiniest amount of health, and then he hits a super effective Wild Charge, which does take us out, but that move has recoil, so he takes himself out as well. I switch in Blaziken as next up is Stump Plays, and just go straight for the Psychic as he gets a critical hit Flamethrower, but we still hang on as we are quite bulky. Psychic does some good damage as well, but we go down to one more Flamethrower, so I switch in Psychodactyl and just finish it off with the Drill Peck, and his final Pokemon is Forretia, so I switch in our new Zenchamp. He goes for the Sunny Day, but it's too little too late, as we can hit a super effective Brick Break, which brings it down to the red. He then fully heals it with a Hyper Potion, but I went for Low Kick this turn, and it turns out that this thing is a thick boy as it goes down from full health. We win ourselves the 7th badge, and now there is just one more left to claim. That of course being the 8th and final gym badge from Giovanni. As always he starts off with Medearth and Cragler, so I lead with Houndoomami and Fendrana. Once again I go for the Rain Dance to get rid of the sand, but this does mean the Hurricane is now 100% accurate, and then Cragler goes for a Crunch. We are just about bulky enough to survive though, and hit a quad effective Aurora Beam on Medearth, but this thing is really bulky as it takes it easily. I then just go for the super effective boosted Surf with Houndoomami, and this just straight up KOs both Pokemon at the same time, so he sends out Severm and Jolteon next, as I hit an Aurora Beam on Severm. It doesn't do too much though, and we unfortunately get outsped, and he returns the favour by taking out both of my Pokemon with an Earthquake, but does some decent damage to his own Pokemon too. I switch in Zenchamp and Solnova, as Zenchamp takes a lot of damage from a Drill Run, but next turn Jolteon goes for the Curse, which means I can hit a super effective Brick Break for about half its health, and then follow up with the Psychic on the Severm for decent damage as well. He does fully heal it the next turn though, which is annoying, as Jolteon goes for another Earthquake, which does unfortunately take out Zenchamp, but Solnova has Levitate, which means he doesn't get hit, and again Severm takes some good damage as well. I switch in Psychodactyl, who's also immune to Earthquake, as I hit one more Psychic on the Severm to bring it down to low health, and after taking a weak Dragon Tail the next turn, I can finish it off with a Drill Peck, and next up is Kataroa. Drillbrio goes for another Curse, which means I'm able to hit a weak Psychic for some small damage, and then next turn go for a Psychonash on the Kataroa for an easy one-shot. His final new Pokemon is Excali, which is actually kind of a problem for us, as it is part Dark, as Drillbrio goes for another Curse. He then goes for a super effective Pursuit, but it actually doesn't do as much as I was expecting it to, as I hit a Drill Peck for decent damage, but then unfortunately we go down to an Iron Head, so I switch in Blaziken. Soul Nova hits a Giga Drain for some good damage on Excali, but unfortunately he does survive, which means of course he fully heals the next turn with a Hyper Potion, as I go for a Water Pulse on the Drill Geo to finally take it out, and now we just need to deal with this Excali, which is a lot easier 2-on-1. Giga Drain does some good damage, and then he ends up missing the Fissure, and from there we can bring it down to a Sliver with an Energy Ball, and then finish it off finally with one more Giga Drain. Excali goes down, and we can now finally take on the Elite Four. Before doing so though, we have to face Wiggo one more time, but as always this wasn't really a problem. Telements is up first, so I lead off with Fendrana, and after easily taking a return, I hit a super effective Aurora Beam for about 50% of its health. He then goes for a Brave Bird, but we take that as well, and just take it out with one more hit, and Bristol's up next. I switch in Zenchamp, who has the 4x super effective Earthquake, but instead of attacking me he just goes for Swords Dance, so it easily goes down from full health, and I stay in for Stalacola, who also sets up with the Calm Mind. This means I can land a super effective Brick Break, which takes it down to red health, as he then fully heals with a Max Potion, which means we're able to survive a super effective Dazzling Gleam, and easily take it out with 2 more Brick Breaks. Sense Leech is up next, so I switch into Fendrana, but unfortunately we just go down to a single Meteor Mash before we can attack, so I send in Soul Nova, who has the super effective Dazzling Gleam, which does huge damage thanks to a crit, as he just goes for Cosmic Power. Again though, he does actually fully heal it up, which means our moves really aren't doing that much damage at all, and then he actually just decides to switch out and go into Volcasaur. I was hoping we could outspeed and hit a Psychic, but we get absolutely destroyed by an Eruption, so I send in Houndourami and go for the super effective Surf. It brings it down to red health and he just goes for the nasty Plot, which means we can outspeed and KO the next turn, and the Sense Leech comes out again. Psychic does some good damage, but he hits back with a Terror Wave, which actually just takes us out with a critical hit. I could just finish it off with a Dragon Tail from Psychodactyl though, and his final Pokemon is Gyarados, who is weak to flying, so again one Drill Peck is all we need, and we beat Zwiggo for the penultimate time. We arrive at the Pokemon League, and here's a look at our final team. Honestly, I'm really happy with how this team turned out. Psychic has always been known as being one of the best types, and this team really seems to be proving that. Will it be able to beat the Elite Four though? Well, let's find out. First up is the double battle with Lorelei, who of course starts off with Torchill and Eruptice, so I lead off with Zenchamp and Soul Nova, and immediately hit a Flash Cannon on Torchill, which brings it down to a tiny sliver. I then go for the Earthquake with Zenchamp, which finishes off the Torchill, and of course doesn't hit Soul Nova as we have Levitate, and does huge damage to Eruptice too. She sends out Freezeorb next, as Eruptice goes for a Cosmic Power, so next turn I go for a super effective Earth Power on the Freezeorb, which does about half its health, as I go for the Brick Break on Eruptice to hopefully finish it off, but he just hangs on. Freezeorb then goes for the Blizzard, and I kid you not, she freezes not one but both of my Pokemon. Seriously, what are the chances of that happening? She then fully heals Eruptice with a full restore, as Soul Nova takes a Fire Blast but we just hang on, and this actually defrosts us. Zenchamp then defrosts as well just in time, and goes for another Earthquake, which takes out the Freezeorb from there, and then we even get a critical hit on the Eruptice to take it out from full health. That is what I call karma. Blizzmaiden and Golacea come out next, as I hit a weak Earth Power on the Blizzmaiden, only for us to get taken out by a Focus Blast the next turn. I send in Fendrana, as Zenchamp hits Golacea with a Brick Break for huge damage, but then she retaliates with a Surf, which finishes off Zenchamp. I switch in Psychodactyl and go for the Psychonash, which is easily enough to take out the Blizzmaiden, and her final new Pokemon Coolcatty comes out, as Golacea hits another Surf. We take the hit with ease though and finish off the Golacea with a Psychic from Fendrana, so now we just need to deal with this Coolcatty, and I have just the ticket. I switch into Blaziken as he goes for the X special, and then hit the 4x super effective Psychovulse, which brings it down to red health, and it doesn't matter that she fully heals here, as I have not one but 2 4x super effective fighting moves, and we only need the 1 Aura Sphere from Blaziken to finish it off, winning us the first match of the Elite Four. Next up is Bruno. We win, easily. I don't know what else you expected. Agatha's Ghost types are up next, and this could actually be a challenge for our Psychics, as we are weak to Ghost. Zotam's out first, so I lead with Houndourami, and go for the super effective Surf, which brings it down to red health as she goes for a Power Gem. We're able to survive easily though, and easily take it out with 2 more hits after she heals up, and next up is Hypnoplasm, who's actually weak to Psychic. It does a great amount of damage as she goes for a Terror Wave, but she actually ends up missing. This means I can land 1 more Psychic to take that thing out, and Pellistorm is up next. I go for the Dark Pulse, which is super effective, and it does a respectable amount, as we finally get taken out by an Ominous Wind. I switch in Psychodactyl though and just finish it off with the Psycho Nash, and then switch into Blaziken for Claypaw, as we have the super effective Energy Ball, which just takes out from full health thanks to a critical hit. Snorcest is up next, so I switch in Psychodactyl once again, and the Psycho Nash is doing decent damage, as we get hit by an Ice Punch. Not only that, we get frozen though, which is the third time in this Elite Four, but we just end up defrosting straight away, and we're able to hit one more Psycho Nash, before going down to a Soul Steal. I switch in Zenchamp though and go for the Jarring Jabs, which is a Ghost type multi-hit move, and is just enough to finish off the Snorcest from there. Agatha's final Pokemon is Nobodinja, which is weak to Steel, so I go into Soul Nova, and Flash Cannon does a decent amount. She does set up a Calm Mind though, which means it's not doing as much, but we resist all of her moves, so even with her healing we're actually able to bring it back down to red health, before finally going down. I just switch in Blaziken though as she heals up once again, which I wasn't expecting, so our Psychic really doesn't do that much. I decide to set up some Calm Minds of my own, but she has the same idea. Again though, I'm just not quite able to finish it off before we go down ourselves, but this means I can switch into Zenchamp, and just finish it off with the Jarring Jabs for the win. We beat Agatha, and now there's just one more member of the Elite Four left to face. The final member of the Elite Four is Lance, and of course this is a double battle once again. He starts off with Drakeperia and Flarados as usual, so I lead off with Psychodactyl and Blaziken, and I team up on the Flarados and take it out in 2 hits easily, and next up is Thunderius. Drakeperia goes for the Meteor Mash for a small amount, but he does actually get the attack boost, which could be quite scary. So next turn I go for the Dragon Tail followed by a Psychic, but this thing's really beefy and it really doesn't do that much. Thunderius then hits a super effective Thunder, but much to my surprise we actually hang on. He does have the priority Dragon Tail though, so we do unfortunately go down. So I switch in Soul Nova as we hit an Aura Sphere for small damage, as Thunderius goes for Amnesia. He then goes for the Protect, but that's fine, as I take out the Drakeperia with an Aura Sphere, and Leviatops is up next. Thunderius continues to go for Protect though, as Leviatops sets up a Dragon Dance, which could be a real problem, but again I focus my efforts on it, and a mixture of Aura Sphere and a critical hit Psychic are enough to take it out as well. Forest Star comes out next, so I decide to focus my efforts on it once again, as Thunderius really isn't doing much. We're able to bring it down below half as he just goes for a Bulk Up, as Thunderius goes for a Thunder. It really doesn't do much damage though, and next turn we can finish off the Forest Star with 2 more hits, and next up is Yveldo. Thunderius continues to go for Amnesia, so I decide to switch into Zenchamp, as I hit a Psychic on the Yveldo for about 40%. Thunderius hits another Thunder and actually gets the Paralysis this time, as Yveldo goes for the Earthquake, but this was a questionable play, as it completely bypasses Soul Nova, and while he does get a critical hit on Zenchamp, he also does a lot of damage to Thunderius. I then go for a Zen Headbutt on the Yveldo for some decent damage, as Soul Nova finally gets taken out by another Thunder, so I switch in Blaziken once again, as Yveldo goes for the Draco Meteor to bring us down to a Sliver. I go for an Aura Sphere, but it does hardly anything, and then finally take out the Yveldo with a Zen Headbutt, and now it's just 2 on 1. Blaziken does get taken out by a Thunder though, so I send in Fendrana who has the super effective ice moves, and I then hit an Earthquake with Zenchamp, which brings it down to low health, and I was hoping an Ice Beam would be enough, but because of all those amnesias, he just hangs on. We do get the freeze, but of course he just goes for a full restore anyway, so it doesn't even matter, and then I hit a Stab Brick Break, and we actually get a critical hit too. This brings it down to about half, and then we get insanely lucky as we get a second critical hit. This completely ignores the stat boost that he has, so it easily takes him out, and we beat Lance. All that stands between us and victory now is the champion's Wiggo. First up is his Dust Sharp as always, so I lead off with Zenchamp, who has the super effective Stab Brick Break, which easily just takes it out from full health, and Stadicola's up next. I decide to stay in and go for another Brick Break, as he goes for the Calm Mind. We bring it down to quite low health, and he doesn't decide to heal up the next turn and just goes for Dazzling Gleam instead, so we can just about tank the hit, and take it out with one more Brick Break, and next up is Telements. I switch in Soul Nova as I just resist all of his moves, so we really don't have anything to worry about here, we just need to keep taking weak returns and Brave Birds. We do some good damage with Psychic as well, so it only takes 3 to take it out, and next up is Eldraine. I switch in Fendrana as we have the super effective Ice Beam, but unfortunately we just get absolutely destroyed by a Terror Wave. That wasn't even a crit, so I switch in Psychodactyl. I go for Psycho Nash, but you can see just how bulky this thing is, as it does next to nothing, but thankfully he misses the second Terror Wave, so I can hit one more and we actually get a critical hit as well. He does hit the Terror Wave this turn though, but we survive, but we do unfortunately get confused, and then we end up hitting ourselves in confusion, and get taken out by an Outrage. Thankfully though, this means he's locked into it so he can't heal. So I just switch in Houndunami to finish it off with an Ice Beam. And next up is Volcasaur. Not really sure why he sent this thing out now, but okay. I go for the super effective Surf, which does well over half its health, as he goes for the Thunderbolt. I didn't know this thing could learn it, but we survive either way, and take it out with a second Surf. We're now down to his final Pokemon, which is Gyarados, so I switch in Zenchamp, outspeed and go for the super effective Brick Break, which leaves him on red health. He does take us out with an Aerial Ace though, so I switch in Blaziken as I know he's going to fully heal, and just go for the Aura Sphere. It's doing more than 50% of its health, and we're faster, so one more takes it out, and we've done it. We beat Zwigo, and beat Pokemon AlteRed, using only Psychic types. Well, there you have it. As was to be expected, the Psychic type was pretty damn good. Was it as good as the Dark type last time? To be honest, probably not, but it still was fantastic. Overall, it did really well. I'm thinking of doing a leaderboard of sorts after the Fighting type video, where I just run down what my favourite teams and types were for these runs. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing in the comments below. As for this particular team, I was really impressed overall. Solnova, while not quite as good as Lunark in my opinion, was really useful and had some really good coverage options. Also, Blaziken was definitely one of the more interesting starters, but by far the best member of the team was Psychodactyl. It was fast, it could hit hard, it could even take a hit or two, it could basically do everything. I would definitely pick one of these up if you're looking for a strong flying type in AlteRed. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then please consider leaving a like, and subscribe if you're new. We recently hit 27,000 subscribers, so we're getting ever closer to our goal of 30,000 by the end of the year. Honestly, thank you all so much, it really means a lot. What challenge should I take on next? Let me know in the comments down below. That's pretty much all I've got for you today, so as always, thank you all so much for watching. Until next time.